Imagine reaching into a forgotten jar of pocket change, the kind that sits quietly on a shelf for years, and discovering that one humble penny could be the gateway to extraordinary value. It sounds almost unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet stories like this continue to emerge across the United States. Collectors, investors, and ordinary people are uncovering coins that quietly waited decades to reveal their true worth. Today we are focusing on a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance it may look ordinary, just another copper coin passing through millions of hands. But under the right circumstances, with the right characteristics, this penny can become something collectors pursue with excitement and urgency. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly looked at the pennies in your pocket? Not just glanced at them, but actually examined them. Most people don't. They treat pennies as small change, something to toss in a jar or leave in the cup holder of the car. But what if one of those pennies could hold surprising value? What if a simple coin from 1981 could trigger the attention of serious collectors and auction houses? Suddenly that dusty jar on the kitchen shelf starts to look a little more interesting, doesn't it? The story of the Lincoln penny itself begins more than a century ago when the United States introduced the coin in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Since then, billions have been minted. But within those billions lie tiny variations, errors, and unusual characteristics that transform ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. The 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny without a mint mark represents one of those intriguing possibilities. In 1981 the United States Mint produced Lincoln pennies at several facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark during that era, which means many people assume these coins are common. And yes, most of them are. But here is where things get interesting. Within the massive production runs of that year, subtle minting errors and rare variations occurred. These tiny differences, sometimes invisible to the casual eye, are exactly what collectors search for. Let me pause for a moment and ask a quick question. Have you ever heard collectors talk about double strikes, off-center designs, or dramatic die errors? These minting anomalies can turn a simple penny into a conversation piece worth far more than 1 cent. And the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a coin that sometimes appears with striking irregularities that collectors consider highly desirable. Picture a collector leaning over a magnifying glass, studying the date, the lettering, the surface texture. That moment of discovery, when a small but powerful error reveals itself, is the moment excitement floods the room. For numismatists, it's like finding a hidden signature in a famous painting. Suddenly the coin is no longer just currency, it becomes a collectible artifact, and here's the exciting part for everyday people. These coins can still appear in circulation, coin rolls, inherited collections, or jars of forgotten change. Think about that. The next valuable discovery might be sitting quietly in your own home right now, but let's talk about the bigger question many viewers are thinking. How do you actually make money from coins like this? How do you move from curiosity to real opportunity? First comes awareness. Collectors in the United States are constantly searching for rare Lincoln cents, especially coins connected to unusual minting characteristics. Auction houses, coin dealers, and specialized collectors often compete for high-grade examples or unusual errors. When demand meets rarity, the price can rise dramatically. Imagine taking a penny that most people ignore and presenting it to a professional coin dealer who immediately recognizes its significance. That moment can feel almost surreal. 1 second it was pocket change, and the next second it becomes a collectible asset. Now here's another question worth asking yourself. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years without a second glance? Hundreds? Thousands? It's a funny thought, isn't it? Somewhere out there, someone probably spent a valuable coin on a cup of coffee without realizing it. The excitement surrounding rare coins isn't just about money. It's about discovery, history, and opportunity. And the 1981 Lincoln penny is part of that ongoing treasure hunt. Collectors appreciate coins that connect them to a specific moment in minting history, and when a coin displays an unusual strike or a dramatic mint error, the demand can rise quickly. this brings us to an important turning point in our story. Imagine you actually find a promising coin. Maybe it shows a striking minting anomaly. Maybe its condition is surprisingly sharp and well preserved. What happens next? Many viewers ask the same questions. How do you sell old rare coins? Where can you sell coins in the United States? How do collectors turn pocket change into real money? The answer often begins with proper evaluation. Professional grading services and experienced coin dealers examine the coin's authenticity, condition, and rarity. These factors determine whether the coin is simply interesting or truly exceptional. Once authenticated, the coin can enter the marketplace through auctions, collector networks, or specialized coin shops. Auction environments in particular can be thrilling. Imagine your coin appearing in a catalog viewed by collectors across the country. Bidders examine the images, read the description, and decide how much they are willing to pay. With the right combination of rarity and demand, the bidding can climb higher and higher. Now picture this scene. A coin that once sat quietly in a drawer suddenly appears under bright auction lights while collectors compete to own it. That's the kind of transformation that makes the coin world so fascinating, but let's add a quick moment of humor here. If pennies could talk, imagine how shocked they would be to discover they're suddenly celebrities. One minute they're hiding under couch cushions, and the next minute they're starring in an auction catalog. The truth is, the United States coin market remains incredibly active. Thousands of collectors search daily for coins connected to historical moments, mint errors, or exceptional preservation. And the Lincoln Cent series remains one of the most widely collected in the entire hobby. That's why many experienced collectors encourage people to examine their coins carefully. Look at the date. Look at the lettering. Look for unusual doubling, strange alignment, or unexpected design shifts. Those tiny details can make all the difference. So let me ask you again. Could there be a coin in your pocket right now that deserves a second look? For viewers who dream about turning small discoveries into meaningful profit, the process begins with curiosity. Study the coins you already have. Learn about minting errors. Understand the signals collectors look for. The more knowledge you gain, the more confident you become when evaluating coins. And here's the most inspiring part of the story. Many remarkable coin discoveries have been made not by professional dealers, but by everyday people who simply took the time to look closely at their change. That simple habit, checking coins carefully, has transformed ordinary moments into exciting opportunities. A quick glance at a penny could become the start of a fascinating journey into the world of rare coins. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny reminds us that value can hide in the most unexpected places. A coin small enough to slip through your fingers might hold a story collectors want to own. Imagine reaching into a dusty jar of coins on your kitchen shelf, the same jar that has been sitting there for years, filled with pennies, nickels, and forgotten change from grocery stores and gas stations. Now imagine discovering that one small copper coin inside that jar could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Not $10. Not even $100. But thousands of dollars. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet collectors across the United States are quietly searching for one particular coin that could turn ordinary pocket change into serious wealth, the 1960 Lincoln Cent. And the shocking truth is that some of these pennies have rare minting errors that make them extremely valuable in today's collector market. Before you dismiss the idea, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the pennies in your wallet? Most people never do. They assume pennies are worthless, something to toss in a jar or leave on the counter at a convenience store. But coin collectors know a secret. Hidden among millions of ordinary coins are rare variations that can command astonishing prices at auctions. And the United States Mint accidentally created one of those opportunities back in 1960 when it struck the 1960 Lincoln Cent in Denver. Now here's where things start to get exciting. In 1960, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies. On the surface they all looked nearly identical. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. The wheat ears design on earlier versions and the new design transitions happening around that era. To most Americans at the time, it was just another penny entering circulation. But something unusual happened during the minting process. Subtle die variations and minting errors appeared on certain coins, creating extremely rare versions that collectors today are willing to compete fiercely to own. Think about that for a moment. A tiny variation in the lettering or spacing of the date, a slight doubling in the design, or a minting flaw that slipped through quality control. These details might seem insignificant to the average person, but to collectors they are treasures. Some rare variations of the 1960 Lincoln cent have sold for remarkable amounts at major auctions, turning a 1-cent coin into a serious financial asset. Now let me ask you something directly. What if one of those coins is sitting in your house right now? Maybe it's in a piggy bank. Maybe it's inside a jar of change in the garage. Maybe it's hiding in a box of old coins your parents or grandparents saved decades ago. The possibility alone should make you curious enough to check. Because collectors across America are constantly asking questions like these. How to sell old rare coins. How to start selling coins for profit. How to make money from coins that most people ignore. And the most exciting question of all, could pocket change really turn into millions? The answer is surprising. Across the United States, professional coin collectors and investors actively search for rare pennies from the 1950s and 1960s. Auction houses and coin dealers watch the market closely because certain error coins continue to increase in value year after year. The 1960 Lincoln cent has become one of those coins that sparks intense curiosity whenever collectors talk about valuable pennies. But here's the twist most people don't realize: condition matters. A worn penny that has been rattling around in circulation for decades might still be collectible, but a well-preserved example in exceptional condition can attract serious buyers. Coin grading companies carefully evaluate details like luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. And when a rare minting error appears on a coin in outstanding condition, the value can jump dramatically. Let me pause here for a second and ask you a quick question. Have you ever actually examined a penny under magnification? If not, you might be missing something fascinating. Coin collectors often use simple magnifying tools to look for doubling in letters, unusual spacing in the date, or small die cracks that reveal a coin's rarity. It's a little like detective work. And yes, sometimes it feels like searching for treasure in your own home. And here's a funny thought: some people spend thousands of dollars traveling across the world looking for treasure buried underground, while others discover valuable coins inside a coffee can in their basement. Now that's a treasure hunt most of us can afford to start today, but the excitement doesn't stop at discovery. The next big question many viewers ask is this: how do you actually sell a rare coin in the United States? This is where things become very interesting. Serious collectors often purchase rare coins through reputable coin dealers, professional grading services, and major auction houses. These platforms allow rare coins to reach a global audience of investors who are eager to acquire unique pieces of American numismatic history. When a desirable coin appears at auction, competitive bidding can drive the price far beyond what most people expect. And here's the powerful truth: the coin market thrives on rarity and demand. When collectors realize a particular coin is scarce, interest spreads quickly. Conversations begin in collector forums, coin clubs, and auction catalogs. Suddenly the spotlight turns toward a coin that most people overlooked for decades. That's exactly what has happened with certain examples of the 1960 Lincoln cent. Collectors study the minting details, searching for unusual characteristics that distinguish rare pieces from ordinary ones. And when those rare examples surface, they don't stay hidden for long. They attract attention. They spark bidding wars. And they remind us that even the smallest coin can carry enormous value. So now let me ask you another question: what would you do if you discovered a rare coin worth thousands of dollars? Would you sell it immediately? Would you hold it as an investment? Would you send it to a professional grading service first? These are the questions experienced collectors ask every day. Because the right decision can dramatically affect the final selling price. If you're serious about turning old coins into real money, the first step is awareness. Start examining the coins you already have. Look closely at dates, mint marks, and design details. Research coins that collectors are currently seeking. And most importantly, never underestimate the value hidden in something as small as a penny. Remember, the journey from pocket change to serious wealth often begins with curiosity. One person looks at a penny and sees 1 cent, another person looks at the same penny and sees history, rarity, and opportunity. and when the right collector meets the right coin at the right moment, the results can be extraordinary. That's why so many Americans continue searching for rare coins like the 1960 Lincoln cent, hoping their next discovery might change everything. So tonight, before you ignore the coins in your wallet or toss them into a jar, take a closer look. Ask yourself a simple question. Imagine this for a moment. You reach into your pocket, pull out a simple penny, and discover that collectors across the United States are willing to pay an astonishing amount of money for it. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a story from a movie, yet this exact scenario has happened to ordinary people again and again. Today we are talking about a coin that many Americans have seen but very few truly understand. The famous 1964 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a small copper coin that could transform an ordinary moment into an extraordinary opportunity. Now, before you dismiss this as just another coin story, let me ask you something important. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the pennies in your pocket? Most people spend them without a second thought. But experienced collectors know something different. Hidden among millions of common coins are rare errors and high-grade examples that can command remarkable prices in auctions and collector markets. And the year 1964, especially coins struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver, holds a special place in this treasure hunt. Picture America in 1964. The economy was booming, vending machines were everywhere, and pennies moved through the economy faster than ever before. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents that year, each stamped with the small but powerful D mint mark. Most were ordinary. But some carried rare minting errors and exceptional conditions that collectors now chase with passion. Here is where the story becomes exciting. Not every coin leaves the mint perfectly. Machines can slip, dies can crack, and sometimes the alignment of the design can shift slightly during the striking process. These small mechanical quirks can transform a normal coin into a collector's dream. Errors such as doubled lettering, die cracks, off-center strikes, and dramatic die breaks have all been reported on the 1964 Lincoln 1-cent penny. And when such an error appears on a coin that is also preserved in remarkable condition, collectors begin competing for it in auctions. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth just 1 cent could suddenly attract the attention of investors, collectors, and auction houses across the country. That's the fascinating power of numismatics, the study and collecting of coins. And the truth is, opportunities like this still exist today because these coins remain in circulation or hidden in collections that people have forgotten about. Let's pause for a second and ask a fun question. If someone handed you a penny worth thousands of dollars, would you spend it at the grocery store or would you run straight to a coin expert? Most viewers laugh when they hear that question, but the surprising reality is that valuable coins are accidentally spent every day. That's why awareness is everything. Knowledge turns ordinary pocket change into a potential treasure hunt. The design of this coin also carries deep historical significance. The front of the coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of his birth. The reverse design during 1964 shows the classic wheat ears, a symbol that collectors admire for its timeless American character. When you hold one of these coins, you are holding a small piece of American history that traveled through decades of commerce. But here's where things become even more intriguing. Condition matters enormously in the coin market. Collectors evaluate coins on a grading scale that measures how well the coin has survived over the years. A coin that has sharp details, original luster, and minimal wear can be dramatically more valuable than one that has been heavily circulated. Professional grading organizations like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company carefully examine coins and assign grades that help determine their value in the marketplace. Now imagine this scenario. Someone discovers a pristine example of a 1964 D penny with a striking mint error and submits it to professional grading. Suddenly collectors begin to notice. Auction listings appear. Bidders compete. The excitement builds. What started as a tiny copper coin becomes the center of a high-energy auction room filled with collectors eager to own a rare piece of history. This leads to a question many viewers ask again and again. How do you actually sell old rare coins in the United States? Where do collectors find buyers who truly understand their value? The answer begins with knowledge and patience. First, the coin must be carefully examined and often authenticated by experts. Next, sellers explore trusted marketplaces such as major auction houses, reputable coin dealers, and well-known collector platforms. These environments bring together serious buyers who are actively searching for rare pieces, but let me ask you something even more exciting. What if the next valuable coin is already in your possession right now? Maybe it's sitting in a jar on your dresser, tucked inside an old piggy bank, or hidden in a box of family keepsakes. Every year collectors discover valuable coins in the most ordinary places. That's why many people now search through pocket change with a sense of curiosity and anticipation, from pocket change to millions. It may sound dramatic, yet history proves that small discoveries can lead to incredible financial opportunities. Rare coins have funded vacations, paid off mortgages, and even launched successful collecting businesses. The journey often begins with a single coin and a simple decision to look more closely. Another question viewers frequently ask is how to make money from coins. The key is understanding rarity, demand, and condition. Coins that combine all three elements become highly desirable to collectors. The 1964 Lincoln 1-cent penny sits at the intersection of history and opportunity because collectors continuously search for exceptional examples and rare mint errors from that year, and here is something fascinating. The coin market thrives on stories. Every coin carries a journey. Where was it spent? Who carried it? How did it survive decades without damage? These mysteries capture the imagination of collectors and add emotional value beyond the metal itself. Let's return to the bigger picture for a moment. The reason collectors remain fascinated with coins like the 1964 penny is simple. Scarcity drives demand. When only a handful of high-quality or rare examples exist, competition among buyers intensifies. Auction houses spotlight these coins, collectors discuss them in forums, and the excitement spreads across the numismatic community. Now imagine standing in an auction room while bidders raise their paddles. The tension builds. The price climbs higher and higher as collectors refuse to back down. Finally the hammer falls, and the winning bid shocks everyone in the room. At that moment, a humble penny has become a symbol of rarity, history, and opportunity. So what should you do next? Start paying attention to the coins that pass through your hands every day. Look for the small D mint mark beneath the year on a 1964 Lincoln penny. Examine the details closely. Notice the condition. Ask yourself whether the coin might carry an unusual feature or error that collectors would find fascinating, and most importantly, stay curious. Because the truth is that treasure hunts do not always require metal detectors or hidden maps. Sometimes they begin with something as simple as a copper coin resting quietly in your pocket. Imagine reaching into a jar of old pocket change, pulling out a single penny, and discovering that the tiny copper coin in your hand could be worth far more than 1 cent. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But stories like this happen more often than people think. Across the United States, collectors and everyday Americans have discovered rare coins hiding in drawers, jars, piggy banks, and forgotten boxes. And one of the most surprising discoveries people are now talking about is the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. Yes, the small coin honoring Abraham Lincoln may look ordinary, but under the right circumstances it can attract serious attention from collectors and auction houses. Now here's the question that should instantly grab your curiosity. What if the next valuable coin is already sitting in your home right now? What if a penny from 1978, something many people have ignored for decades, is quietly waiting to reveal its true value? For thousands of Americans between the ages of 30 and 65 who are now exploring coin collecting and coin selling, this possibility is creating a wave of excitement. Because sometimes the difference between a 1-cent coin and a highly demanded collectible comes down to one small detail, an error. The 1978 Lincoln penny was produced by the United States Mint in enormous quantities. Millions were struck that year to keep everyday commerce flowing smoothly. Most of these coins entered circulation and were spent on groceries, gas, and morning coffee. But during the massive minting process, tiny mechanical variations sometimes occurred. When dies wore down or alignment shifted slightly, unusual features could appear on a coin. Those small minting mistakes are exactly what collectors search for today. Think about that for a moment. A mistake, something that normally would be considered a flaw, can actually become the reason a coin becomes valuable. Coin collectors call these mint errors, and when they appear on a popular coin series like the Lincoln Cent, the demand can rise dramatically. The 1978 penny without a mint mark is one of those coins that has sparked curiosity among collectors who specialize in modern errors and high-grade examples, but let's pause for a second and ask a simple question. Have you ever actually looked closely at your pennies? Most people never do. They spend them without a second thought. Yet the design itself carries history. On the front is the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, first placed on the penny in 1909 to honor his 100th birthday. On the reverse of the 1978 penny you'll see the famous Lincoln Memorial design that defined the coin for decades. Millions of Americans handled these coins every day without realizing that a few unusual examples could eventually become collectibles. Now imagine the moment someone discovers one of these coins in exceptional condition or with a notable mint error. The feeling is similar to opening a treasure chest. Suddenly a coin that once bought a piece of candy decades ago is being studied under magnification, photographed, and sometimes even sent to professional grading services. Why? Because collectors pay attention to rarity, condition, and errors, and here's where things become exciting for anyone who still keeps jars of old coins at home. The coin market has grown tremendously in recent years. Online auctions, coin dealers, and collector forums have made it easier than ever to connect buyers with sellers. That means an overlooked coin can suddenly find its way to a collector willing to pay a strong premium for the right piece. Let me ask you something directly. Have you ever wondered how people actually make money from coins? Is it really possible to turn pocket change into something meaningful? Many viewers ask these questions. How to sell old rare coins? How to start selling coins? How to make money from coins? And the big question that sparks curiosity everywhere, can pocket change really become thousands of dollars? The truth is that it starts with awareness. People who learn to recognize key dates, unusual varieties, and mint errors are the ones who spot opportunities. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example of why knowledge matters. At first glance it looks ordinary, but collectors carefully inspect the surface, the lettering, the strike quality, and any signs of unusual die behavior, and here's a quick reality check that might make you smile. Somewhere in America right now, someone is probably paying for a cup of coffee with a coin that a collector would happily save. Funny, right? Coins travel through thousands of hands over decades. They move through banks, cash registers, and vending machines. That long journey is exactly why valuable pieces sometimes appear in the most unexpected places, but once someone discovers a potentially valuable coin, the next question becomes urgent. How do you sell old and rare coins in the USA? Should you go to a coin shop? Should you try an auction? Should you list it online? These questions matter because the right selling strategy can dramatically influence the final price. Professional coin dealers often provide quick evaluations and immediate offers. Auction houses, on the other hand, can sometimes bring competitive bidding when collectors recognize something special. Many sellers also explore online platforms where rare coins are presented to a global audience of collectors, and here's something that experienced collectors understand very well. Presentation matters. A coin that is authenticated, graded, and properly described tends to attract stronger buyer confidence. That confidence can translate into higher bids when the right collectors start competing. Now picture the emotional moment that drives this entire market. A collector sees a rare variation, recognizes its scarcity, and decides they must have it for their collection. Suddenly the humble penny becomes the center of attention. Bidding increases. Interest grows. And the value climbs. This is why so many people today are asking a simple but powerful question. What coins should I check in my pocket change? Because the idea that ordinary coins could hold hidden value is both thrilling and motivating. It turns a casual hobby into a treasure hunt, and that brings us back to the heart of the story. The 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny without a mint mark may appear common at first glance, but when collectors discover unusual characteristics or exceptional condition, demand can rise quickly. The coin becomes more than currency. It becomes a collectible piece of American history. So the next time you see a penny, pause for a moment. Look at the date. Examine the details. Ask yourself whether the coin might have something unusual about it. Because sometimes the smallest discoveries lead to the biggest surprises. Imagine this for a moment. You reach into your pocket, pull out a single penny, and almost toss it aside without a second thought. It's small, copper-colored, ordinary, or at least it seems ordinary. But what if that humble coin sitting quietly in your change jar could secretly be worth hundreds, thousands, or even life-changing money? What if the difference between a forgotten penny and a valuable collectible is just one tiny detail most people never notice? Today we're diving into a fascinating story about the 1989 Lincoln 1-cent with no mint mark, a coin that millions of Americans handled, spent, and ignored. Yet in certain rare cases, the right error or extraordinary condition has turned this everyday penny into a highly sought-after treasure among collectors. Now let's slow down for a moment and think about something. When was the last time you really looked at your coins? Not glanced at them, but actually studied them. Because hidden in plain sight are coins people accidentally spend every single day that collectors are actively searching for. And here's the exciting part, the 1989 Lincoln cent is one of those coins that might still be quietly circulating, waiting for someone with sharp eyes to recognize its hidden value. The story begins with the iconic Lincoln penny itself, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. For generations, this coin has passed through the hands of millions of Americans buying groceries, paying for coffee, or dropping spare change into jars. By 1989 the coin had already become one of the most familiar objects in everyday life. Yet familiarity often hides opportunity. The 1989 penny without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia, and at the time, coins from this mint typically carried no mint mark at all. So on the surface, nothing seems unusual. But collectors know that hidden among these coins are rare minting errors and exceptional specimens that command serious attention at auctions. Let's pause here with a quick question. What if the next coin sitting on your kitchen table could help pay for a dream vacation, or even contribute to your retirement fund? Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet coin collectors across the United States have seen exactly that happen. The excitement around the 1989 Lincoln penny comes from the possibility of rare mint errors and extraordinary high-grade examples. During the minting process, coins are struck under intense pressure by steel dies. Sometimes, however, the process doesn't go perfectly. Small mechanical mistakes can create fascinating variations that collectors chase with incredible passion. Errors like double die impressions, off-center strikes, die cracks, and unusual planchet flaws can transform a common penny into a rare collectible, and here's where the suspense builds. Many of these errors are subtle. So subtle that people unknowingly spend them every day. Imagine a rare double die coin slipping through a cash register at a grocery store and landing in someone's change without anyone realizing its potential value. That possibility alone keeps collectors searching through rolls of pennies, coin jars, and bank boxes every single day. Now picture a collector sitting at a desk late at night under a bright lamp, carefully examining a handful of pennies with a magnifying glass. It may sound like a quiet hobby, but the stakes can be surprisingly high. In the rarest cases, a near-perfect 1989 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, graded at an exceptional mint state level, can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the specific characteristics and market demand, and this is where things get really interesting for anyone watching who has old coins sitting at home. Because many people ask the same question, how do you actually make money from coins? How do you turn a simple penny into real cash? The first step is awareness. Understanding that coins are not just currency but historical artifacts with collector demand. Every year collectors across America search for specific dates, errors, and high-quality coins to complete their collections. The 1989 Lincoln cent happens to fall into a category that collectors frequently examine because modern coins with rare errors can sometimes be overlooked for years before being discovered. Now here's a moment of honesty. Most pennies are still worth exactly 1 cent. I know, not exactly millionaire material. But here's the twist. The tiny percentage that are rare or preserved in remarkable condition can command astonishing prices compared to their face value. And that difference is what fuels the excitement of coin hunting. Think about the concept of pocket change turning into opportunity. People often ask, can pocket change really lead to significant money? The surprising answer is yes, if the right coin appears at the right time. Throughout coin collecting history, many valuable discoveries have come from ordinary places: old jars, inherited collections, estate sales, and even loose change from daily purchases. So how do people actually sell old rare coins in the United States? That's one of the biggest questions viewers ask. The process usually begins with proper identification and evaluation. Collectors examine details such as mint marks, strike quality, color, and potential errors. A magnifying glass or coin microscope becomes an essential tool. Once a potentially valuable coin is identified, the next step is authentication and grading, often done by professional grading services. These organizations carefully inspect the coin and assign a grade that represents its condition. Why is grading important? Because in the world of coin collecting, condition can dramatically influence value. A coin that looks ordinary to the naked eye might actually be in pristine condition compared to others of the same year. And collectors are willing to pay significant premiums for coins that survive in exceptional shape. Once a coin is authenticated and graded, the selling options open up. Many collectors sell through reputable coin dealers, online marketplaces, or major auction houses. Auctions in particular can create intense bidding competition, especially when a rare coin appears that collectors have been searching for. That's when prices can climb rapidly. Imagine the excitement of watching bids increase as collectors compete for a coin that once sat unnoticed in someone's pocket. It's a moment that perfectly captures the thrill of the numismatic world. Now let me ask you something important. Have you ever checked the coins in your house? Not just the obvious ones, but the forgotten jars, drawers, and containers filled with spare change. Because hidden inside those piles could be coins from decades ago that collectors are eager to buy today. The journey from pocket change to profit begins with curiosity. It begins with someone asking a simple question: could this coin be valuable? That question alone has led many people into the fascinating world of coin collecting and coin selling, and here's the urgency part many people overlook. Valuable coins don't stay hidden forever. Collectors across the country are constantly searching banks, coin rolls, and estate collections. The earlier you check your coins, the greater your chance of discovering something remarkable before it disappears into someone else's collection. So tonight, before you toss that handful of pennies into a jar, take a second look. Examine the date. Look for unusual details. Ask yourself if that coin could hold a story waiting to be discovered, because sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises. The 1989 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark may appear ordinary at first glance, but in the world of collectors it represents possibility. Possibility that a simple penny could become a prized collectible. Possibility that knowledge and curiosity could transform everyday pocket change into real financial opportunity. Imagine reaching into your pocket at the end of a long day, pulling out a handful of ordinary change, and discovering that one small copper coin could quietly hold the power to change your financial story. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet across the United States, collectors and everyday people are searching intensely for one overlooked treasure: the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. A coin that many people once spent without a second thought is now drawing serious attention in auctions, coin shops, and private collections. The real question is simple and powerful. Could one of these rare pennies already be sitting in your drawer, your coin jar, or even your pocket right now? The story begins with the iconic American coin that millions recognize instantly, the Lincoln cent featuring the face of Abraham Lincoln. For more than a century, the United States Mint has produced these coins for circulation. But sometimes, during the massive production process, small variations and unexpected errors occur. And when they do, collectors pay attention. Because those tiny minting differences can transform an ordinary penny into a coin that collectors compete fiercely to own. Now picture the year 1994. Millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies were struck and released into circulation. Most of them looked identical and were spent like everyday money. But hidden among them are certain examples without a mint mark that show unusual characteristics and striking errors. These subtle differences may seem minor to the untrained eye, yet in the world of coin collecting they can ignite extraordinary demand. Here's something many people never realize. Not every coin error becomes valuable. But when a coin combines rarity, collector interest, and strong condition, the market can react dramatically. That is exactly what has been happening with certain 1994 Lincoln pennies. And that raises an exciting question for you. Have you ever really examined the pennies you receive in your change? Or do they simply disappear into a jar without a second thought? Imagine this scenario. You come home one evening, empty your pockets, and notice a 1994 penny sitting there quietly. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. But what if that tiny coin had a minting error that collectors are actively searching for? What if a professional coin dealer examined it and told you it might be worth far more than 1 cent? Suddenly that simple coin becomes a conversation piece, an opportunity, maybe even a life-changing discovery. But before excitement turns into action, let's pause for a moment. When collectors evaluate coins like the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, they look for specific details. They examine the surface, the lettering, the alignment of the design, and any unusual characteristics produced during minting. Sometimes the errors involve double details. Sometimes they appear as off-center strikes or unusual die variations. These differences can be incredibly subtle, yet in the collector's market they can drive intense demand. Here is a surprising truth that many people overlook. The condition of the coin can dramatically influence its value. A well-preserved example that has been protected from heavy circulation can attract much higher interest than a worn coin. That means the pennies sitting untouched in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten drawers may actually hold surprising potential. Let's stop for a moment and ask a question that many viewers are probably wondering right now. How do you sell old rare coins in the United States? If you discovered a valuable penny, where would you go? Would you take it to a local coin shop? Would you contact a professional grading service? Or would you place it in a competitive auction where collectors across the country might fight to own it? These are important questions, and they reveal something fascinating about the coin market. The journey from pocket change to serious money often begins with knowledge. People who understand what they are looking for gain an incredible advantage. They recognize opportunity where others see nothing more than spare change. Think about how many pennies circulate through American pockets every single day. Millions. Yet most people never check them closely. That creates a strange and exciting possibility. Rare coins continue to hide in plain sight, quietly passing from hand to hand while collectors search tirelessly for them. Let's lighten the moment with a quick thought. Have you ever paid for a cup of coffee and tossed the change straight into the tip jar without looking? Imagine the barista discovering later that one of those pennies might have been worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It sounds like a scene from a movie, but stories like this have actually happened in the world of coin collecting. Now the excitement builds. Because the market for rare Lincoln pennies has grown dramatically over the years. Collectors are constantly hunting for unusual pieces that complete their collections. Auction houses and coin dealers know this demand is real. And when a rare example appears, competition can push the price far beyond what most people expect from a humble 1-cent coin. But here is the key moment in our story. Opportunity favors those who take action. If you want to learn how to make money from coins, the first step is simple but powerful. Start looking. Examine the coins in your change. Check old piggy banks. Look through family collections that may have been sitting untouched for decades. You might even ask yourself another question. What if your parents or grandparents saved coins years ago without realizing their potential value today? Coin markets evolve. A penny that seemed ordinary in the past may now be highly sought after by collectors who understand its rarity. Another question many viewers ask is this. How do you actually sell coins once you find something valuable? The answer often begins with authentication. Professional grading services evaluate coins and assign a condition grade, which helps establish trust in the marketplace. Once a coin is authenticated, sellers can approach reputable coin dealers, auction houses, or specialized marketplaces where collectors actively search for rare pieces, and here is where the story becomes truly inspiring. Some people begin their coin journey with nothing more than curiosity. They check their pocket change, learn about mint errors, and slowly build knowledge. Over time, that curiosity can evolve into a powerful side income or even a passionate hobby that connects them with collectors across the country. Imagine turning a simple habit into opportunity. Each time you receive change, you pause for just a moment. You glance at the date. You look for unusual details. You begin to recognize patterns that most people miss. Slowly, you transform from an everyday spender into a treasure hunter, and that brings us back to the beginning of our story. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny may appear ordinary, yet certain rare examples with minting errors have captured the attention of collectors. In the right condition, with the right characteristics, these coins have reached astonishing values in the marketplace. So the next time a penny lands in your hand, ask yourself something powerful. Could this be the coin that everyone else overlooked? Could this small piece of copper be part of a story that begins with pocket change and ends with a remarkable discovery? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an ordinary-looking penny, and realizing that the tiny copper coin resting in your palm could be worth more than a luxury vacation, or even the down payment on a house. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But for some collectors across the United States, that exact moment has already happened. And today we are talking about one coin that has been quietly hiding in plain sight, the 2015 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny with a rare error that has collectors searching through jars, drawers, and pocket change with growing excitement. Now pause for a second and think about this. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny before spending it? Most people toss them into a jar without a second thought. But what if one of those coins was actually a hidden treasure? What if the next penny you pick up is not just 1 cent, but potentially worth thousands of dollars to the right collector? Let's begin with the story behind this fascinating coin. The Lincoln cent has been part of American life for more than a century. Since its first appearance in 1909 honoring President Abraham Lincoln, it has passed through billions of hands, from grocery stores to gas stations to coffee counters. But occasionally, something unusual happens during the minting process. A small mechanical mistake, a slight misalignment, or a striking error creates a coin that collectors instantly recognize as rare. That brings us to the 2015 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like any other modern penny. The familiar portrait of Lincoln appears on the front, calm and dignified. The reverse design shows the Union shield, representing unity and strength. Nothing unusual at first sight. But the secret lies in the tiny details. Most modern coins include a small letter indicating where they were minted. For example, a D stands for Denver, and an S stands for San Francisco. But coins produced in Philadelphia often carry no mint mark at all. So why would a 2015 penny without a mint mark attract serious attention from collectors? Here is where things get interesting. Certain 2015 pennies were struck with minting errors that dramatically increased their rarity and value. Some show doubled lettering where the inscriptions appear slightly duplicated. Others reveal striking misalignments that create subtle but valuable variations. A few even display die cracks or off-center strikes that transform an ordinary coin into a collector's prize. And here is a question for you. Have you ever checked the words on your pennies closely? Look at the phrase, "In God We Trust." Look at the date. Look at the letters in Liberty. Do they appear perfectly sharp, or do they seem slightly doubled? Many people overlook these tiny differences. But experienced collectors know that these small details can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent, and a coin worth thousands. Now imagine the excitement building across the country as more collectors begin searching for these rare variations. Coin forums light up with photos. Auction houses receive new submissions. Coin dealers examine rolls of pennies with magnifying glasses, hoping to spot that one rare example, and suddenly a simple question begins echoing everywhere: could the next valuable coin be sitting in your pocket right now? think about it. Every day millions of pennies move through circulation in the United States. They pass through vending machines, parking meters, grocery stores, and coffee shops. Most people never look at them carefully. But collectors know something powerful: rare coins are often discovered by ordinary people first, not by professional dealers. Not by museums. But by someone cleaning out a drawer, someone counting change, or someone who simply became curious enough to look closer. So let me ask you something directly. Do you have a jar of old coins sitting somewhere in your home? A coffee can filled with pennies? A forgotten piggy bank from years ago? What if one of those coins could change the way you think about money forever? Because the truth is, the rare coin market has exploded in recent years. Collectors and investors across the United States are actively searching for unusual coins, mint errors, and rare variations. Auctions are attracting serious bidders willing to pay extraordinary prices for the right coin in the right condition, and that leads to another question many viewers ask: how do you actually sell old rare coins? If you discover an unusual coin, the first step is simple but important. Never clean the coin. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce its value dramatically. Instead, store it safely and examine it under good lighting with a magnifying glass. Next, compare it with verified examples online or consult a professional coin dealer. Many collectors also submit rare coins to grading companies, where experts authenticate and evaluate the condition. Once a coin is certified, it can be sold through auctions, coin shops, or specialized online marketplaces where collectors compete to own it. But here is something even more exciting: some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found completely by accident. Picture this moment. Someone empties their pocket after a long day. A penny rolls across the table. They notice something unusual in the lettering. Curiosity turns into research. Research turns into verification. And suddenly that simple coin becomes the center of a bidding war. Sounds dramatic, right? Yet stories like this happen again and again in the coin collecting world, which brings us back to the 2015 no-mint mark Lincoln penny error, because when collectors identify a rare error combined with excellent condition, demand can rise quickly. Serious buyers begin competing for the finest examples. Prices climb. Auctions attract attention. And suddenly a coin that once bought nothing more than a piece of candy becomes a collector's prize. So here is the real question for you: are you paying attention to the coins passing through your hands every day? Are you checking your pocket change before spending it? Are you looking closely at the dates, the letters, the tiny details that others ignore? Because hidden opportunities often appear in the most ordinary places. And the people who recognize them first are the ones who benefit the most. Now imagine telling your friends that a penny you found in everyday change turned into thousands of dollars at auction. Imagine transforming pocket change into a serious financial opportunity. Imagine discovering that the smallest coin in American currency could help build real wealth. It might sound surprising, but collectors know this truth very well: rare coins reward patience, curiosity, and attention to detail. So the next time a penny lands in your hand, pause for a moment. Look at the date. Examine the lettering. Ask yourself one simple question. Imagine this for a moment. You reach into your pocket after buying a cup of coffee. A few ordinary pennies rest in your palm. But hidden among them might be one small copper coin that collectors across America are searching for. A coin so ordinary at first glance that millions of people spend it every day without thinking twice. But what if that simple coin could be worth far more than 1 cent? What if the humble 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny without a visible mint mark in your change jar held the potential to become a collector's treasure? This is the fascinating world of coin collecting and coin errors, a world where small details can transform everyday pocket change into a prize worth serious money. And today we are uncovering the mystery and opportunity surrounding the 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark and the rare errors that can send its value soaring in the collector's market. Think about the journey of a penny. It begins at the presses of the United States Mint, where billions of coins are produced every year. Most of them enter circulation and live quiet lives inside wallets, piggy banks, and coin jars. But occasionally something unusual happens during the minting process. A small misalignment. A missing detail. A striking error. And suddenly that everyday coin becomes something collectors eagerly search for. Now here is where things become interesting. The 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark was produced for circulation primarily through the Philadelphia facility of the United States Mint. For most people this detail seems insignificant. But for collectors, mint marks and their absence can be incredibly important. Because when unusual minting mistakes occur on coins from a specific location or year, the demand can skyrocket. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually examined the pennies in your pocket? Have you ever wondered if one of them might contain a hidden error? Or have you been unknowingly spending coins that collectors would gladly pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to own? That possibility alone is enough to make many collectors sit up straight and pay attention. Picture a retired American couple sorting through an old jar of coins saved for decades. They are not professional collectors. They simply kept spare change over the years. Then suddenly they notice something unusual on one of their coins. A doubling in the lettering. A striking misalignment. Perhaps a die crack across the surface. At first it seems like a minor curiosity. But after a closer look, they realize they may be holding a rare mint error. Stories like this happen more often than people think. Coin collectors constantly search for unusual varieties of modern coins, including the 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die breaks can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's prize, and here is where excitement meets opportunity. Collectors in the United States are always asking the same powerful questions. How to sell old rare coins. How to start selling coins for profit. How to make money from coins that might be hiding in plain sight. Could a handful of pocket change really become the beginning of a valuable discovery? The answer is yes. Because the coin market thrives on rarity and demand. When collectors discover unusual minting errors on modern coins like the 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny, competition can become intense. Auction houses, coin shops, and online marketplaces suddenly become arenas where determined buyers compete to own a rare piece. But before imagining the excitement of a successful sale, let us pause for a quick reality check. Have you ever thrown a penny into a tip jar without looking at it? Be honest. Most of us have done it countless times. That small careless moment might have sent a valuable coin into circulation again. That a humorous thought perhaps, but also a powerful reminder, because collectors know something most people ignore. Every coin tells a story. And sometimes that story is written in tiny imperfections created during the minting process. The design of the 2016 Lincoln 1-cent penny continues the historic tradition honoring Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait has appeared on the penny for more than a century. That long history makes the Lincoln cent one of the most studied coins in American numismatics. Even modern issues can become valuable when rare errors appear. Imagine discovering that your coin shows a dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing. Or spotting unusual doubling in the date or lettering. These small differences are exactly what experienced collectors search for. Now let me ask another question that thousands of viewers across the United States are asking right now. How do you sell old and rare coins in America? How do you turn an unexpected coin discovery into real money? The process is simpler than many people think. Serious collectors often begin by confirming the coin's authenticity and condition through professional grading services or experienced coin dealers. Once verified, rare error coins can attract attention at auctions, specialized coin shops, or trusted online platforms where collectors compete for unique pieces. This is where urgency enters the picture, because the coin market moves quickly. When a rare variety becomes widely recognized, collectors rush to secure examples before prices rise further. That means a single discovery today could become tomorrow's headline sale in the numismatic world. Imagine taking a small coin from your pocket and realizing collectors are willing to pay far more than its face value. That moment transforms an ordinary object into a symbol of possibility, and this leads us to a powerful idea. From pocket change to potential treasure. Across America, countless jars, drawers, and forgotten boxes contain coins waiting to be examined. Some belong to families who saved change for decades. Others are quietly circulating through stores and vending machines every day. The next valuable discovery could be hiding anywhere, perhaps in your kitchen drawer. Perhaps in the change from your last grocery purchase. Or perhaps in a jar that has not been opened in years. The key is curiosity. The willingness to look closer. To ask questions. To notice details that others overlook, because sometimes wealth does not arrive through complicated investments or risky ventures. Sometimes it arrives in the form of a tiny copper coin that most people ignore. So the next time you hear the faint clink of coins in your pocket, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question.